2023 was a huge year for gaming, but not so great for all looter shooter live services, with Destiny having one of its worst years the day before releasing, and most painfully, The Last of Us Online getting absolutely shut down before anyone could even see what Naughty Dog were cooking. The future isn't really looking too bright right now for the genre. From a fair standpoint, this is mainly because looter shooters are so hard to choose between, as they usually require the player's attention to really allow them to try out the different builds and obviously loot that aren't readily available at the surface. Because of this, players have to decide the right game for them, and this often means not playing the others for a while, if not ever, leading to a pretty steep and competitive market, one that many studios are seemingly backing away from. After some careful choice, I decided to step back from my main looter shooter Destiny, looking elsewhere as this was one of the game's weakest years, allowing me to jump back into Warframe after a few years of not playing. Unfortunately, I had to start a new account as I started on my PC, and this was before cross-save, but I'm really happy I did, as this allowed me to take it all in once again, immersing myself in buildcraft, lore, and a ton of fun activities to take part in. But most importantly, it also put the game's evolution into perspective, as the last major update I played was the Plains of Eidolon. So, as expected, I was very surprised with just how much had changed and just how far DE had taken the game until now. Warframe is a space-set looter shooter where you, the Tenno, are meant to fill your arsenal with the most overpowered and ridiculously strong weapons you can build in order to get more, and it's awesome. DE have continued to fill this game with great story content, new frames and weapons, and other exciting activities and events since 2013. So I literally had 10 years worth of content to experience. On top of this, they added cross-save, which had doubled my progression, as I was able to link back with my older account and pick up the grind from where I left off. And this feature will be going live for everyone this month, so it's definitely a huge and welcome change for anyone who has also had this problem in the past. Along with the quality of life changes and major updates to the game and how it's played, we've also seen major updates to the writing and just the quality of story here. The writing for the characters have improved, creating compelling villains like Ballas and great experiences like the new war. The Tenno is now known throughout the star chart, and it feels like you are actually known in these open world zones as the characters interact with you even more often now. Essentially, the main plot of Warframe is very simple. You enter a ship to escape your death and enter a space void. Doing so, this is where you get your powers. You wake up with no memory of this at first and spend most of the early game figuring this out. And if I keep talking, it will go into spoilers, so go find out the rest for yourself. Now, I do have to praise DE here because the acting, directing, and overall quality does improve drastically throughout the experience, culminating in the brilliantly crafted New War story quest, the culmination of all these early events. The bars set in New War is seemingly being maintained, given the quality of the latest story update, Whisper in the Walls, and it really shocks me that all of this is free. This commitment to keeping players happy and enjoying the game is why I look forward to whatever DE is cooking up next as well. They really did an excellent job in involving the game and its content, and most importantly its plot, which at this point feels like a true AAA single player game due to its quality, making you forget that this is all Warframe. Warframe and Destiny are always in conversation together, as both are looter shooters with a large amount of content, and like I said earlier, they require a large time investment from their player base to really see just how good they can be later on, so players often end up picking one or the other, despite them both being very different games. The main difference is the emphasis on modding and bonus stats in Warframe, as where in Destiny you can have mods on gear, and this is somewhat important as Destiny builds is formed from the synergy between all your gear, selected mods, and of course your choice of weapons, and just how well all of these fit into your selected playstyle and subclass. However, modding in Warframe dictates your overall strength, weakness, and just how likely you are to survive any piece of content you are going to play. You can play a good Warframe with no mods, and you will definitely notice that you have no mods, and this is basically your entire build. Your mods effectively take the role of loot drops in Warframe, aside from resources and other gatherable materials, which is a noticeable difference from the multicolored engrams available in Bungie's shooter. Each of the mods can form or aid to create its own specific build, and your goal is to synergize multiple builds together to get the most out of your frame, weapons, companions, and other niche gear items, which is honestly a more complicated task than it sounds, as on top of your mods, you also have things like Archon shards, arcanes, and other bonuses that you can get later on in the story, like focus, which can lead to a learning curve, but once you understand it, you'll start to see why people truly enjoy playing Warframe. This is because for new players, the grind to power honestly feels endless. The game has a lot of content to offer us new players, as I'm about 300 plus hours in, and I haven't even finished most of it yet. Warframe wants you to travel the galaxy by completing your star chart and uncovering the history of the Tenno as you do so, which is easily going to take more than 50 hours to do, especially if you don't understand the game too well. Additionally, the game includes story content that you will unlock along the way, play, following its main plot, and it will get you to understand the story of the Tenno, who you are in all of this, and doing side quests will allow you to unlock open world zones, warframes, and activities that are going to keep you busy as you progress through the game. The open worlds vary from grassy plains with evil robotic dinosaurs to full-scale roguelike zones that you can run over and over again for really cool rewards. Despite all the content on offer, what has kept me hooked in Warframe is the game's progression style. All mods and gear are account-wide, meaning you can use just about anything on any Warframe, and this creates a universal form of progression as you unlock items that will aid your account. These items can usually be farmed in open world zones and create entirely new ways to play. You can also farm for currencies and resources required to build and upgrade these items. So it's easy to tell why Warframe is so addictive, because everything you do in the game is making you stronger and you just go from one grind to the next. Me and some friends of mine have spent this past Christmas week just farming and helping each other out in Warframe, whether it's sharing builds, tips, or even loot. We all decided to join a clan, and honestly this has been the most fun I've had playing the game in a long time. There are so many game modes to choose from and unlock in the star charts, and there are many weapons and warframes to build, so the game feels endless at the moment. Once we finished our star charts, we began New Game Plus in Steel Path, essentially the game's hard mode for those who get to it, and it's been fun feeling kind of weak again and having to learn new ways to tackle enemies. So here's what I liked and what I didn't really like about Warframe. I love how this game continues to evolve, with the developers taking player feedback and acting upon it. This has definitely been one of the game's stronger years, which is why I'm happy I gave it another chance, as it reminded me about all the things that I love about Warframe. Its mountain of content for new players, its long list of weapons and warframes, its engaging combat, its impressive visuals, and just how customizable these warframes are, allowing you to play however you want. And last but not least, fishing, because this is always a good thing in any game. On top of that, there's also the game's story and fair monetization that allows players to never have to spend anything to enjoy the game, and to me, that's awesome. Unfortunately, Warframe can't be a perfect game, and it definitely has its issues. So what I didn't like was the time gating present in the game, as this heavily hinders progression, especially for reputation and building new Warframes, but even more so for things like Forma, an upgrade resource with a 24-hour timer on it, making me essentially have to wait up to nearly a week to have enough to spend on weapons and other Warframes unless I decide to spend money. Now, unfortunately, you're gonna have to believe me on this one, but there were also these weird bugs that would happen to my guns, basically preventing me from shooting or swapping weapon, and sadly I never caught footage of this, so it's really annoying for me, but it was definitely there, and that's something that DE should definitely work on fixing, because it hindered my gameplay and I didn't like it. Lastly, the open world zones aren't really there to explore. They offer caves for resources, but they are just large maps with enemies, and it can be really boring, especially when you don't have any activities going on. But to be fair to DE, that's more of a personal issue I have with that, because I would like to explore some of these open worlds in detail and just find and discover cool items. So I guess it's a problem for me. But overall, Warframe is really fun right now, and I highly recommend anyone bored and looking for a time sink to play it, as all the content feels rewarding, the gameplay is getting better, and the story is getting better, and the game seems to be on an upward trajectory, so I can't wait to see what DE has planned for 2024 and beyond. And see ya.